If you just joined us, we're doing, I think, an amazing story. You've heard many of these clips before, but you've never heard it told in one sitting and tied together. Barack Obama's life is a fairy tale. It is a story. It's not true. And we have the audio of him saying one version and then him saying another version to prove it. And nobody is even, we got to find out what Mitt Romney was doing in 1965 in high school, but we can't find out the truth about his parents, his friends, his college, what's happening now. None of it. The number one story on the Blaze right now by a million miles is, do you know anyone like Obama? Go to the Blaze and check out that story. Go to GBTV.com. I laid this out in its entirety, and it's so much more powerful with the visuals, but I wanted to make sure you heard it. We're brought up, we went to the 2004 election and saw what he was saying in the 2004 election and shown you that it's not true. We've shown you about, and Barack Obama Jr. was born in Selma. Because of Selma, what happened in Selma? No, he was born in 61. The March on Selma happened in 65. Not true. We show that his girlfriend, that's composite girlfriend, not true. All of these racial things, not true. But then, and this is much more powerful on television, we get to his grandmother. This is when he's defending Jeremiah Wright. And he says, I can't throw him under the bus any more than I can throw my grandmother. And then, as you see, now that you know him, as you see this response, he's reading these words. No one speaks about their grandmother like this and has to read the words. Listen.
I can no more disown him than I can disown my white grandmother, a woman who helped raise me, a woman who sacrificed again and again for me, a woman who loves me as much as she loves anything in this world, but a woman who once confessed her fear of black men who passed her by on the street, and who on more than one occasion has uttered racial or ethnic stereotypes that made me cringe.
Okay, we concentrated at the time, who says that about their grandmother? Yeah. Even if it's true, who says that about the grandmother? But when I watched it last night, because I've only heard the audio, he's reading it off a teleprompter. There's something very wrong here. But don't worry. He then explained it the next day off of a teleprompter on radio.
She is a typical white person who, if she sees somebody on the street that she doesn't know, there's a reaction that's been bred into our experiences. Okay.
Nobody survives saying this. Nobody survives saying things like that. Nobody. I was in Michigan, and some plant in the audience asked me the question, what do you think about Barack? You want to apologize for what you said about Barack Obama? And he has a deep-seated hatred for the white culture? No, we've already explained that a million times, and you'd better talk to Barack Obama about the white culture and things being bred into, hatred being bred into the white culture. It's really an interesting conversation. But Barack Obama can do or say anything because nobody checks. For instance, flat out lie. When you get into politics, his life is a fairy tale. His life is scripted. It's a movie script. But then this man has no problem with flat out lies looking right into the camera. John McCain brought up the occasions that Barack Obama has spent time with Bill Ayers. No. Barack Obama looks directly into the camera and says it's not true.
You launched your political campaign in Mr. Ayers' living room.
That's absolutely not true.
That's absolutely not true. Now, this is an amazing lie. This will show. This really shows you. This whole monologue is. If I had a jury of our peers sitting in a jury box, and the accused was the press, you'd send them all to prison. It's an amazing lie. Even factcheck.org, which is left, says, okay, really? While trying to cover for and excuse Obama over silly details, the relationship with Ayers, for that matter, even desperately covering up for Ayers, saying that referring to him as a terrorist is a stretch, Factcheck.org, again, an organization from the left, specifically mentions at least half a dozen Bill Ayers meetings with Obama that Obama lied about or covered up, including board meetings, retreats, news conferences together. And yes, in fact, Ayers hosted, according to factcheck.org, Ayers hosted a meet and greet coffee for Obama, who was running for the state Senate and who lived 3 blocks away from him. Yes, in Bill Ayers' living room, the president said, absolutely not true. You might remember that Obama lied incessantly about his Marxist spiritual advisor, Jeremiah Wright.
This is a church that I have been a member of for 20 years. This is a well-established, typical, historically African-American church on the south side of Chicago. With a wonderful set of ministries, and what I have been hearing and had been hearing in church was talk about Jesus and talk about faith and values and serving the poor.
All
For
of
some, nagging questions remain. Did I know him to be an occasionally fierce critic of American domestic and foreign policy? Of course.
Did you know that he had made these statements before the videotape appeared?
You know, frankly, I didn't. I wasn't in church during the time that these statements were made. Now,
did I ever hear him make remarks that could be considered controversial while I sat in the church? Yes.
I did not hear such incendiary language myself personally, either in conversations with him or when I was in the pew.
Did I strongly disagree with many of his political views? Absolutely.
Had I heard those in the church, I would have told Reverend Wright that that I profoundly disagreed with them. They didn't reflect my values, and they didn't reflect my ideals.
Hello? Which is it?
Amazing.
Which is it? This all happened before he got into the White House. The lies since taking office would take weeks to chronicle. Oh, and we will at GBTV. We are going to put together documentaries and things like this to be able to show it to your friends. Not my opinion, his words. Show it to your friends. Most people don't know any of this stuff because no one is doing the job. We will. It is imperative that you know who this man is. I can't tell you who he is. I can tell you who I believe he is. But I can show you his words, and it will make you say, which is the #1 story on the Blaze, do you know anybody like that? Do you know anybody like Barack Obama? The answer is no. Everything from lying about supporting single health payer, a single payer health care program, to doctors amputating feet and tonsils just for more profit, promising to close Gitmo. These are the typical lies that you hear from a president. But you don't have anyone checking those lies. And such incredible lies like the border fence is basically done.
Then they wanted a fence. Well, the fence is now basically complete.
It's basically complete. The fence is 5% complete. That's not me. That's the Department of Homeland Security saying 5% complete. So if that's basically complete, then don't worry. You go out to dinner tonight, you have a $100 meal, and if you have only $5 in your pocket, order up. And when the police come, you can say, wait, it's basically paid for. If 5% is basically paid for, then we've got a whole different set of facts. You understand the way he does budgets now, don't you? In his efforts to stoke the fires of class warfare, he continually lies about the amount of taxes paid by the wealthiest Americans. He lied about never doing signing statements. He lied about no lobbyist in the White House. It took him, 2 days? He continually lies about the Arizona immigration law. Pay as you go, shovel-ready jobs, jobs created and saved, no earmarks in the stimulus package, and on and on and on. These are not your typical politician lies. These are staggering in their size and in their consequence. But the lies that make the most difference to me are the ones about his family, his heritage, his growing up. because you expect lies about policies now from the President of the United States. You expect it from politicians, but you don't expect them to lie in this fashion. Listen when he speaks about how America in positive terms. It rings hollow. But listen to when he talks about America in positive terms, and he couples it with familial history.
I know the promise of America because I've lived it. Michelle has lived it. You have lived it. It is the light of opportunity that led my father across an ocean. It's the founding ideals that the flag draped over my father's coffin stand for.
This is incredible. You can hear it. You can hear it as he says it. You can see it on video. Let's go through just that last line. It's the ideals that the flag draped over my father's coffin stand for. Really? How hard is it for the press? Really? The ideals your father's flag-draped coffin stand for. You mean, Barack, your father who is buried in just outside of Nairobi in Kenya had a flag, an American flag? He didn't serve. He was only here to get an education. He was a communist. He fought for communist values. He somehow or another requested an American flag to be draped over his coffin. Oh my gosh, America. If you can't get the press to ask that one question, your dad requested a flag, an American flag, to be draped over his coffin when he was buried outside of Nairobi? That's incredible. If you can't get them to ask that question, what else are they not telling you? This is why I say the press is criminal. This is why I say you've got to spit yourself out of the system. This is why I spit myself out of the system, and we started GBTV. You want this video? There's much more to this monologue that we can't get to now. We got to it all last night. You want this video? You want to see these things? You want to share this with your friend? You go to gbtv.com and sign up right now, because this is only the beginning. I have a new understanding of who this guy is and what is really going on. A new understanding. And it's just clicked in like the last 4 weeks. And it's all there. And it's not my opinion, just like we did with George Soros, just like we did with Van Jones. We'll use only his audio, only his video. We've got now a decade of it. And when you start putting it together, the last night show had 47 clips of audio from him. When you start listening to him, A-B, what he said here and here. I know the story about Nairobi. I know where your father was buried. I know how your father felt. I know what your father did. I know how long your dad was here. And he had a flag-draped coffin. Doesn't work. It is a total fantasy fairy tale storybook. It is not true. Hollywood writers couldn't have written this.
In the next 6 months, I mean, all of the resources of this giant, the Death Star, this battle station will be, focused on that. We'll be focused on giving you the material and the information and background you need to convince others, because people don't know this stuff.
Right, and you have to do it because the Death Star on the other side, remember, we're with the Ewoks. The Death Star is what you saw against Mitt Romney and from 1965 from the Washington Post. They are going to lie, smear, cheat, steal. They'll do anything you can. You must arm yourself with the facts and only the facts. And we'll help you do that at gbtv.com.
My wife said to me last night, "You need to play this over and over and over." And I said, "Well, there's so much more. I mean, we have to do like a week-long special on this stuff to get half of it in.
It'll be a month-long special. Just what we did already. There's I bet you there's 50 more audio clips on each of those things where you can take 50 more
and we
and
didn't
just
get them
make
all
the case.
because we just didn't have time.
Okay.